talking about practice.
Cause we gonna be together with God.
Welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're reviewing the Salomon QST 94 for 2027. Although it's the same ski as 2026, they've got this kind of weird thing with the top sheets where it's got like a half iteration, but the construction's the same, so don't be thrown off by that. Now, full disclosure, these were sent to me by someone who wants to remain anonymous on our Patreon, and the bindings and everything else were paid for from our Patreon fund. So big shout out to Patreon. If you like honest reviews and you want to help make more reviews happen, that's a really good way of doing that. So big shout out to our Patreon supporters that made this happen. But these skis were sent to me. I was not paid for this review in any way. I did not correspond with Salomon to make this review happen. This was just paid out of pocket from a Good Samaritan and a bunch of different Good Samaritans for the bindings to make this review happen. These were tested and reviewed at Mount Hood during the summer, although it's funny, Mount Hood I would say in the morning is really firm, then gets softer, so these had a pretty good gambit of conditions to be tested on. But now that we covered that, let's talk about the skis, the part that really matters. Now, I skied these in a 180 centimeter length, which means they have a turn radius of 16.5 meters. These are a pretty big change from the Salomon QST 92s, which were back in the day a pretty good bang for your buck ski. I think that the width that they chose for the ski makes a lot of sense because a lot of people who are looking for the ski are going to want to be more focused for off-trail performance. And I think for a daily driver, the 94 millimeter width makes a lot of sense. A few construction changes. This iteration of the QST, different than previous gen, no longer has the double sidewall. It is a single sidewall. It has these kind of distinct tails where they're square-ish, but they do kind of have some, they're like slightly rounded off, which doesn't always show as well like on pictures online. Obviously, they've got a pretty decent splay here on the tails as well for that, kind of twin tip-ish feel. For construction as well, there's a big update to the tips where they don't have quite as much of a oval shape as the QST 92s. These are a little bit more square towards the tip. And I'd say the tip splay is pretty aggressive and starts fairly late in the ski, but that makes sense given this width. For mounting point, I found that I did enjoy these more, a ½ centimeter back or 1 click back on the demo binding. But if you're a freestyle skier, mileage may vary, but for me personally, I had the optimal performance at 1 click back or ½ centimeter back from the mount point. Now these skis retail on evo.com for $749.95. Although right now you can buy them as of recording day for $489.96 in that previous generation top sheet. That's not consistent. The full price if you were getting either of these colors. Oh, interesting. Lilac Black for 2027 is $749.95 as of the day of recording for Evo. But this color that I have, the Black Almond, is $699.95. Now I will say, as far as construction goes on Evo, Salomon's list for this, they have a full poplar wood core. They have, for the laminates, a basalt and fiberglass fiber, it says? Maybe that's a typo. From tip to tail, QST ski features a full-length integration of basalt fibers seamlessly paired with fiberglass. This meticulously crafted fiber combination ensures unparalleled flex, maximizing performance while providing superior edge grip across the entire platform. That's what they say on Evo. Those are not my words. They also include the cork amplifier, which they say is cork and TPU inserts in the tips and tails to give the ski a uniquely calm ride. Again, All the marketing, not my impression. Evo lists at the 180 centimeter length. Oh, do they list a weight? I think I've seen online some people report it's around 1,850 grams. But I wouldn't say these feel noticeably heavy. I think the construction kind of helps with that. But these are, just to give you a ballpark. But I've not weighed these myself, so take that with a grain of salt. Okay, now that we covered all the specs and costs and everything else on paper, let me tell you my first impressions, how I actually felt putting them on snow. Now, full disclosure to any of the people over at Salomon watching this video, these are just my opinions. Everything here is just my opinion. I have no dog in the race of who buys what ski. I'm just giving you my honest opinion as somebody who put these skis on snow. I will say, anything that I've experienced, I've documented really well. I have no malice towards Salomon or anyone else. I'm just here to give you my honest opinion. So what were my first impressions? I mean, this was a half a day up at Mount Hood. I skied on these for 3 to 4 hours. So I'm gonna keep this review maybe a little bit more brief than some of my more in-depth reviews, but I do feel like I got enough info to give a thoughtful review. Now, my first opinion is these weren't too bad. To be honest, I kind of enjoyed these skis. I have not loved every single ski from the QST lineup, but for me, I have to admit, being totally honest, I really enjoyed these skis, and I can see a lot of people gravitating towards them and a lot of people finding things that they would enjoy out of the ski. So I was pleasantly surprised. They're not my favorite ski ever. There are definitely drawbacks and strengths, and we'll get into that into the full review. But my first impression was, this is pretty fun. And also Zach skied on these while he was kind of taking turns recording me in the second half of the day. And he also really enjoyed these. Zach is more of a freestyle freeride skier, so I can see this checking more of his personal preferences than mine, but we'll talk about that more. But my first impression was, these are pretty good. I didn't necessarily love the QST 100s, and I didn't necessarily love the QST blanks. QST 106s I felt lukewarm on, but out of all of the QSTs, I did enjoy these quite a lot. But anyway, let's talk specifics now. I'm stalling, I think. Gotta make sure I cross all my T's too for, because my reviews are just my opinions, and anything that I experienced, I have documented from when I opened these and mounted them the night before I traveled. Okay, let's talk about the good and then we'll talk about the drawbacks. I think that these feel really good in and out of the turns. We'll talk about that more. There is a piece of that they do have a little bit of an Achilles heel, but I do feel like for getting in and out of the turn, for being able to wash out your turns if the snow isn't doing great and you wanna just be able to go off trail and wash out the tail bit of the turn, especially mounted half a centimeter back, I felt like they were really strong in that area. I also said for the pros, they handle warm snow pretty well. I think that the diversity that they were able to show and the resilience they showed during the later part of the day where the snow got more washed up, or especially Mount Hood's interesting because the farther you go down in elevation, the more heavy and wet and choppy the snow is. And I was very impressed with how these handled that more adverse snow. So that was, to their credit. We'll get into the cons later. There's parts of the turn that can feel weird on the initiation and the disengagement. So if you think about your turn, the beginning of the turn and the end of the turn are weak spots. We'll talk about that later, I guess spoilers ahead. But I will say that once you get the ski on edge and into its turn, it can feel pretty good. It feels reliable. It feels smooth. So I do want to give it credit where it's due. I also want to say that if you get these on sale, the price is pretty aggressive. If you buy a pair of these right now in the iced aqua color, you can get it for $489.96. I don't think you can ignore that. That's a pretty good value for the ski you're getting. So now that we talked about the good, let's talk about the drawbacks, because with any product review, you should be able to talk about the good and the bad. And the ski is not all bad, but it's also not all good. So let's be honest about some of the things, in my opinion, as somebody who reviews skis, these are all my opinions. In my opinion, what were some of the drawbacks for me and my experience skiing on this? So this is where there's a little more protein in this as far as my review goes. Okay, first off, it's a little clunky getting in and out of the turn. I alluded to that earlier. Once you're there, it feels good. But my God, if you hang out too long in the turn, this is really the biggest drawback. Let's just get it out of the way. The Achilles heel of this is if you hang on the turn for too long, it will really get nervous and unstable. It does not want to be tracked for a really long radius turn. And I get why they did that, because it makes everything else feel good. It makes the ski like initiation and everything else easier to access, and it makes it so your short radius turns can feel good. But the thing that they, in my opinion, had to sacrifice for that was you cannot massage out an open radius turn. It gets nervous, it will buck you. It can feel very, very weird and unstable if you stay on that turn for too long. If you get it in its sweet spot in the turn radius it's kind of designed for, which, what do they list it at? They list it at 16.5. That's probably accurate. I would say as soon as you push it like beyond a 17 to 17.5 to 18 meter radius, it does not like that, and it will let you know. And so I think that's where I felt the biggest drawback and instability was that you cannot just like openly cruise on these. You need to kind of keep your turns honest. And I think that that's very specific to this QST 94. A lot of other skis have more grace in allowing you to hang on to your turns, especially like when you need to open them up for different turn shapes or based on the terrain you're on. But you may not care about that, especially if you're an off-trail skier. That may not be something that bothers you, but I want you to know going into it, so if you buy this ski, you understand what you're getting yourself into. I would say that was my main drawback, is just that it does not like to go longer than you want, and it will give you some, it's not even like a speed wobble, it's just like if you try to like stretch out the turn, it'll just reinitiate into a short radius turn again, and that can feel awkward. The other drawback I will say is that it was pretty minor. Let me show you the camera so you can fully see it. I don't think this is the worst I've seen out of it, but after only skiing on these for a day, and granted I did travel with these on my roof rack, but there's a little fraying at the top. Not very bad actually. I would say, honestly, that's fine. I did document this on the day I took these skis out of the wrapper, but there was a tiny, tiny bit of surface rust on the edges, on the tips. However, that's not even a contact point. I don't think that's that big of a deal, but when you're buying a new ski, it's not something you love to see, so I don't know. I didn't love taking the ski out of the wrapper and seeing that, and I've seen it before with other Salomon skis, which I have documented, but this was not the worst case of it, and honestly, you could take a gummy stone and just wipe it off. The other drawback, I mean, I think this top sheet, as far as, it's just cosmetic, so I'm not even gonna factor this into the score, but you know, it's a very distinct style and colorway. And I think some of the other colors are kind of ugly, but of all of the QSTs, I think the QSTX from 2025, 2026 looks pretty good. That purple one over there. And I do like the way that this color scheme looks. I don't love the pattern, but if I had to pick a least ugly QST award, this is probably the ski that would win it. But again, those are just cosmetics. I'm not factoring that into my score. So what would I give these for a score? Honestly, I like these. I think they're great for washed out turns. I think they're great for off trail. I could see myself really loving these in the moguls. Granted, Mount Hood's like off trail setting is pretty limited, but like when I went into the public lanes at the end of the day and you're just kind of washing out, hopping around, I had a ton of fun on these and found them really enjoyable. And as long as I stuck to their kind of preferred, desired carve shaped turns, I found turns that felt good to me and that were rewarding. I do think that the biggest like problem with this ski is that it really, it steps over a line that a lot of other skis don't, where it really does not let you hang on to that turn for a long time, and it will not let you negotiate a more open turn. People, again, off trail, washing out their turns, like, you know, or whatever, that want to bop around, they're never going to notice that. But for me, I like that, and so many skis are able to do that well. You look at, you know, a Volcal Revolt does it well, a Atomic Maverick 88 CTI can do it, and Nordica Unleashed. Most skis don't totally sacrifice that open turn in case you want to kind of cruise around. And this is the first ski I've seen where they really said, hey, you need to stick to these shorter radius turns or we will feel unstable and kind of buck you around off the tail. That being said, I think that the focused audience for people looking at the ski, that's probably not a huge drawback, but I think it is, if I can give you one thing as a drawback to look for that I would be concerned about, I would look at that. But I can also recognize that there's a large population of skiers that will never look for that. But I think that, like, if you're like me, or if you're somebody who does like those more open cruisy turns that likes Nordic Enforcers, Volcal Mantras, I mean, most skis do it pretty well. If you're somebody who likes to just cruise on those open, smooth radius turns, that will be your biggest thing to look out for, or the biggest drawback for that type of skier. But all of that being said, just looking at taking the ski at face value, looking at the price and the overall value and the experience I got out of this, I have to say I was impressed and I enjoyed this ski. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I could see a lot of people really enjoying it and getting a ton of value out of this. I will say, you know, keep an eye out. I have had warranties not go through with Salomon QST from skis I bought on Evo. That's anecdotal, that's just my experience. I've also, on these ones, seen some surface rust, so maybe just take a gummy stone to it when you get out of the package. But overall, I think it's a good value. I think it's a really fun ski. It's not my favorite ski of all time, but I did enjoy myself. So for me, I'm going to give these a solid 7.8 out of 10. I think they're solid value. I think the turns feel good. I think for those off-trail skiers, there's a lot of value here as a daily driver. I just think you really want to be aware of those drawbacks going into a ski like this. That's just my honest opinion. If you're unsure, it's definitely worth checking them out and maybe demoing them. I was not going to be able to demo these because my local shop only had these in a 172. So a big shout out to that Patreon person for making this review happen. I wouldn't have had access to these. I know that people think that I have a preference for brands, but to be honest, this was a good ski and it deserves the score it got. And I can't operate like that. I'm just gonna operate on a case-by-case basis, and this was a solid ski. So for me, again, a 7.9 out of 10, a solid performance, a solid value, and a pretty decent ski. I do think, you know, there's a bunch of stuff when they're talking about their own ski. Like, I do kind of miss the double sidewalls. I thought that was cool, but it makes sense that this shape with the more square tips doesn't have that. I think that was a smart choice. You know, a full wood core construction maximizing liveliness, stability, and ski to snow contact. I didn't experience a lot of what their marketing says. It mostly seems like jargon to me. You know, the corked amplifier, I think, is there, but it's a little less pronounced than the previous version with the double sidewall. I think it's fine, it's there, but I would just be wary. Like, I think a lot of times the marketing is really putting emphasis on some niche things, and that's, you know, that's the job of marketing. But I would say where this ski really stands out is if you're gonna wash out your turn, it feels good. If you stay in that kind of low medium radius turn, it feels good, it pulls through the turn. I think if you don't have a lot of runway and you just wanna wash it out, there's a ton of fun. The turns that you do get feel good. It's a little limited in range, but overall, a solid performance for a daily driver. So again, that's my honest opinion. If you like this kind of content and you want to support the channel, we have affiliate links down below. So if you buy this ski or any other ski, a percentage goes back to the channel. It's a really good way of supporting the channel without spending any money additionally out of pocket. But at the end of the day, you know, I like it because it keeps me honest, because if you buy a Vocal, a Rosignol, a Salomon, whatever, the percentage is the same. So please consider doing that. I'll have those for Evo, Backcountry, and, you know, every once in a while there's a third-party retailer I'll put in. If you do want to support us, we do have that channel Patreon. You can like and subscribe, all that good jazz. If you know somebody who's looking for this, send it to them. But really, more than anything, just thank you for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. That's really what means a ton to me. And I couldn't make these kind of videos without you guys and without our team over on Patreon making this stuff happen. So big shout out to you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, also big shout out to Zach for helping me film this. Big shout out to the Rickety Wybreck camp for allowing me to access their lane when they were done with it to record. Sorry, I forgot to thank those people. Okay, now I'll see you in the next one.
We're talking about practice.
Cause we gonna be together hard.